Mr. Jason Greifenberg of CompTool. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Great to have you. Thanks for coming on. Before we get too much into introductions, it's Brokers and Brews, and you're
Yep.
not a broker, but you sure as hell better brought a brew. What do you got?
Yes, sir. Let's see. This is a it's called Better Together Vanilla Porter,
Nice.
and it's from Schoolcraft College Brewery. So Schoolcraft
Nice.
College has their own brewing made by students, and it's delicious.
Well, I didn't realize that we were going this theme. We honestly don't talk about this, but I brought a witch's hat, South Lyon native, deflowered.
Nice.
So I guess we both decided to go hyper local
Yep.
and obviously craft because we're in Michigan, so we wanted to stick to that. So
Of
uh,
course.
cheers to you, sir.
Cheers to you, my friend.
And yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Obviously, comp tool. It means something to do with computer. Tell us, how long you've been in business, kind of what you guys focus on. Is it you? Is it a team? Let us know more about Jason.
Right. Yeah. So CompTool started 1998. So we've been in business for 22 years. My business partner Joe and we were working the 9 to 5 grind, and we liked computers. And we said, you know what, we could turn this career hobby into a business to help the little guys, the small businesses, the home users. And that's where it went. We started helping out students, our neighbors, and those things. It just kind of ballooned into this little enterprise of ours, and we take care of home users, small businesses, realtors, mortgage specialists, lawyers, and those things. We take care of their IT needs, anything from virus scanning protection to tune-ups, all the way up to they need a new office infrastructure, they're moving, they're networking, and those sorts of things, everything in between. So, but we keep it with small businesses. So typically, you got to say small businesses, what, up to 500 people, but not, we don't do 500. Well, 100 would be the max. 100 employees would be the max where
Okay.
we would get. Yeah.
I mean,
But
recently the government said small business was like publicly traded companies, but I guess there's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that.
Right, right.
But
So
so like what's a typical day look like for your business? I mean, do you wait on the people to call you? Do you have service calls? Like what does it kind of entail?
so currently or pre-COVID?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess what does business normally look like, and then definitely how does business look now?
Sure. Yeah. So normally, our week is pretty much planned out. So we know that throughout the week we're gonna take care of the users. We're gonna install a computer, a printer. Someone has something specific. Hey, can you come out and can you install the software? Can you move this printer? Little things like that. We're doing an office remodel. We're painting. Those things are planned out. But a lot of the times is people just call me, at noon, at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 8 o'clock at night, saying, I can't do A, B, and C. I can't open up my QuickBooks. I can't print. I'm in a panic. I got to close. And we boom, we take care of it right then and there. So that's been running good for 22 years, which is
Yeah.
amazing. It's like half my life. It's just so insane. But now COVID, in IT, it's everyone's working from home, so we're able to remotely support people. So we're not, obviously going into the house for the business. We're helping them remotely, and that kind of transition, doing the remote work, kind of transition about 5, 6 years ago. Once the internet got a little bit faster, and there's technologies out there, like log me in, go to my PC, those things, those just kind of just boomed up. And oh my gosh, if we didn't set people up 5, 6 years ago, it would have been a totally different story. It would have been a panic. So now when users call me, they're already vested, home users or businesses that have, maybe 10 computers, 15, 20 computers. Hey, remote into the front office machine. Boom, I'm done. There's no setup or anything like that. But there's a couple that, kind of panicked and said, I got to work from home. I can't go out. I got to take care of a loved one, those sorts of things. Then we'll go and, we'll guide them through. We'll guide them through to work from home so they can still do their job. So it's I could go on details on that, but that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. And so like right now, have you had a need to go into a building, whether that building is a big building or it's a person's home, over the last few weeks? We're at the end
Right.
of April, so we've felt some form of lockdown, arguably since like March 14th, because that's when they canceled schools, that weekend.
Right. I think
Um,
we're in week 7 now. I think if I know my math, I think
yeah, so
we're at week 7 of lockdowns from
stay at
school.
home order officially started on the 23rd,
Mhm.
but a lot of people started staying home. That basically we had that weekend.
Mhm.
So it was Friday the 13th, and
Oh
then
yeah, yeah.
that was the last day of school for most people.
That's
And
right.
then we had, starting on Monday, no school. So, a person like myself, who normally can work from home, I go to my office, I go to meet people in their homes.
Mhm.
I had to start adjusting to say, all right, my boys will be with me or what have you. And
Yeah.
really, I mean, for me personally, the way things transpired through that weekend was I was already kind of following this stuff and thinking this is going to be really serious.
Yeah.
By that weekend, Sunday,
Mhm.
I was pretty determined that I'm not taking my boys with me in anybody's home, but I was still willing to go do things, with myself because I felt like I could open a door and I could, let somebody in and not go in. And I could do a lot of stuff, but to bring people along, I didn't feel like I could. So
Yeah.
that's why I say, I mean, for some people, the lockdown kind of started there, but officially the 23rd,
Mhm.
when's the last time you think you went into a building?
Gosh, 4 weeks maybe. So we had an issue where an office they got about 5 6 computers, and they're just having all sorts of internet issues. Oh yeah, this is like right when it started happening. Remember, like Netflix went down, and Comcast went down, AT&T went down. Boom, they're just kind of falling dominoes, like one after another. Week after week. And this one company, they were having issues where I actually physically had to go. This happened like that first week, where the internet was just getting flooded because everyone's working from home, and we had to go in and kind of switch out some routers and things to make them good. But and gosh, I think I went to a home user's house on an emergency, but it was like they just left the door open. And I just went into where the computer was, did my thing, grabbed the computer, and left. So, but yeah, 5 weeks maybe. Wow, yeah, and yeah, yeah, and the
It's
rest has all
crazy,
been
right?
remote.
It
Yeah,
is one part of you feel like this has been an eternity. We make these jokes. Fortunately,
yeah,
it's only February 93rd, and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And the other part, you feel like, wow, I can't believe we're actually at the end of April already.
Mhm.
I can't believe this. I can't believe that. And the time flying by is some of it. Our days seem longer, but really, when you start saying, wow, it's been 6 weeks since something, or it's been, I mean, again, March 14th now seems forever ago,
It does.
on a Saturday. That was our last like family trip. We went to the
Yeah.
bookstore. We went
Mhm.
to Barnes
Yep.
and Noble
Yep.
and bought a couple of books. And
Yeah.
my wife was panicking about that. She's like, "Do we have to?" She's
Mhm.
like, "You're not going to go buy food now, are you?" And I'm like, "No, we're going home." You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it's kind of strange, but time's definitely kind of flying by.
Yeah. A couple. Yeah. The I think a week or two prior to all this, we went to Great Wolf Lodge. It's a water park in Ohio. Had a great time, and a couple weeks later, boom, we're on lockdown. It's like,
Yeah,
wow, that was our last trip. And we were having a hung. Do we do it? Should we do it? And looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you know that would have been the previous trip would have been like a year ago type thing. So it's
yeah,
just how just things just happen. But
yeah.
your
So
mind plays, yeah.
has business slowed down or picked up?
No, I think it's well, your mind plays tricks on you. Um, I think business is the same, if not a little bit better, as far as more business, because there's a flood of people, panicking. They want to work from home, they want to do college from home, and those things. Some helping neighbors and small businesses, because their data, with businesses, their data is on their servers in their office, and so they needed a way to get into their office. So I helped them with that. There's a flood of that, and like, oh my gosh, this is so great. So I do a lot of troubleshooting with them, and plus a lot of like lawyers and consultants. They do a lot of Zoom meetings. They didn't know how to do Zoom. They didn't know what the Zoom thing was. So I
Right.
did. So I did a lot of troubleshooting, showing them how to do this. So just
Yep.
if we were doing one-on-one, hey, let me show you how to do a Zoom meeting. And plus, then there's the other work too. We still do the routine tune-ups, the virus scans, the renewals, the stuff, typical stuff. I'm in my home office. I can't connect my Wi-Fi. Let's get the printer going and just walking them through all that. So I think business is the same, if not picked up a little bit more. But your mind plays tricks on you. It feels like I've been working like 20 hours a day, and I haven't.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm locked in my basement here, pretty much,
Yeah.
and which is fine. But you just don't have a window, you don't have air. I don't go out to lunch. I don't. That drive home to and from the client's house, or that fresh air that doesn't happen. It's just the day just drags.
Yeah.
And so it's good. It's good to be busy, but I wish I had a little bit of downtime. So it's a blessing in disguise. I'm very blessed and very fortunate to be working. A lot of people aren't. I really feel for them. I hope something comes back to them really quick. Just hang in there. We'll be out of this soon. But yeah, it's just hopefully when this is done, I can have my break, and then everybody else can go to work.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I
Yeah.
feel that way too. My wife's in healthcare,
Mm.
and so she had 1 week where she was home because she's part of a group that's considered elective,
Uh-huh.
procedures. So
Hmm.
essentially, they said, no more elective procedures.
Hmm.
Therefore, we'll wrap up all the people that you have, and then we'll be done. So she stayed home for 1 week, but she's back in the hospital doing some other things, and I feel the same way. I feel like, geez, if she still can take her time off, it's gonna stink if we don't get to go anywhere because we're fortunate that she's working. I'm not complaining about any of that,
Right, right,
but
right.
this hasn't been a vacation for me.
No,
But I've
not
also
at all.
been home away from a lot of stuff, and I've been working, but not to the same capacity.
Right,
And the truth is, while partially because I can't work at the same capacity, I'm also not going to be able to anyways because I have two kids with me now.
right,
And
right.
sure, you might know that. So if you and I were house shopping together, or I was listing your home or whatever,
Mm.
I'm sure you don't care if I bring my kids. But at the same
Right.
time, we can't be out for 10 hours a day with kids in the car.
No, no, kids have attention span that's just crazy. Saying I could be locked in my basement here for 10, 12 hours, and I don't care. But your kids, I got two girls, 5 and 10, and every 15 minutes their mind just goes, they got,
Yeah.
that's just a child's mind.
Yep.
You can't lock them in a room for 10 hours.
Right. And I'm finding too, sometimes like, especially my youngest,
Mm.
he'll ask me a question and he kind of hears the sigh, And so like I think it was last Thursday or Friday and he asked me why I seemed frustrated.
Mhm.
And I just said, it's not you. It's really just a matter of as soon as I start reading something, you decide it's time for a question.
Yeah.
Sometimes your questions I feel like are just to talk, but some of your questions are really good,
Right. Right.
but also I'm trying to actually do something right now. And so I'm just frustrated at the situation. I'm not frustrated at you. I'm frustrated that we're here in the same office together. You're working on school. I'm working on work. You're asking me questions. I said, you know, I go, your teacher went to college and so did dad, but
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
went to college to be a teacher. Dad didn't. So I'm
I
struggling
know.
sometimes.
It
So
is. And we've always appreciated our teachers, but we even appreciate them even more, right?
yeah,
And it's just I have patience and stuff, but I can't. I can teach you how to use a computer and walk you through something, but I can't teach you math or how social studies works and biology and those things.
exactly.
I just, and because like today you made a good point. Like today there's an example where I was in between Zoom meetings, right? In between Zoom meetings, and I just had like 10 minutes to go upstairs, get a coffee, get a snack, come down. And my daughter says, "Hey, Dad, can you help me with my math?" I'm like, like you said, the sigh, and it's like one is gosh, timing is bad because like when she's doing the homework, her mindset is in that homework.
Yep.
If I say, well, let's wait 5 hours later, she's off watching YouTube or something. There's no way. So I'm like, so I kind of felt that she was getting frustrated with me, and I said, it's funny because that happened with you too, because and I said, well, I'm in the middle of something, honey. I got 5 minutes. Let me show you. And she's getting frustrated. I said, please don't get frustrated. Let's work on this together. And she was trying to figure out some division thing, some
Yeah.
division problem, and I got her through it. But I felt bad because we're in the middle of something. I can't teach her, and I have to switch gears and learn how to do their division. Like I'm showing her, you know, there's a remainder of two carry. So I didn't learn it that way. She's learning the Common Core or the new way,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I can't. I don't know that. I can't teach it, and I'm frustrated,
Yep.
because I want to help her. Plus, I got one arm going this way, one arm going that way, and the kids' brains, they're 8 to 4 at school time. I check out at 5, 6, sometimes 7 o'clock at night. Okay, let's do homework. Well, they're getting ready for bed. So
Right.
it doesn't. Yeah, everyone's frustrated.
The, the flip side of it though has been the positive side of it has been like maybe I've been. I mean, I don't think I'm a bad dad by any means,
No,
but maybe I've
no,
been a bad dad that like if you're kind of busy, but you're not like it's not pressing, and they go, Dad, you want to play Uno?
yeah,
Probably
oh
I would
yeah,
have said no, and now I'm saying like, I look and go, 1 second, boom, 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 close the computer down, let's
yeah,
go play Uno for the
yeah,
300th time, but it's okay,
yeah, yeah, and
um,
no one cares. No one
right,
cares.
and I'm looking at it and I'm just saying, this is the upside is, and I've talked about this with just about everybody that we haven't spent time with people
Mhm,
as much in at least in the last decade, at least
mhm,
probably the last 2 decades. I
yeah,
mean, smartphones and social media, they were great tools when they started, right? It
mhm,
was like,
yeah,
oh cool, in an emergency you can get your email on your BlackBerry or your
right,
Palm Trio,
right, right, right,
but
yeah,
then it became every email. Oh, who's the guy who's first to respond?
yeah,
Especially in some of our businesses like mine, where it is a first to respond if it goes out to 5 people.
right, right,
Um, and then the same thing kind of I feel like started happening with social media. It was like 1 minute you'd post. I remember everyone complained. Who cares what somebody had for breakfast or whatever?
yeah. They're taking pictures of their food and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that.
and now it's almost like it's our job for some people, like they got to post about whatever. It could be political or it could
Sure.
be nature. I mean, some of it's not bad, but
Mhm,
it's not their job, and they're posting like it is, and we're
right.
taking away from our time with friends and family and stuff, right? Because I
Mhm,
think the positive part of it has been, number one, you've had more connection with your own family, but number two is like you probably can't wait to get back out and do something with a group of people, you
oh
know?
my gosh, yeah, like, you're involved in different networking groups like I am, or gatherings and stuff, and we can't do that. We do Zoom, like, I don't know how long this is gonna be. I'm thinking about maybe doing like poker, if there's a way you could do poker.
There is.
Okay.
I'm in two groups. I haven't
Oh,
played a
okay.
single game, but I'm in two groups that's doing it like an online poker. But it's not as cool. It's still
That
you've
sounds
got your
fun.
phone in your hand and you're looking at it, and we're still not like working together. See, I'm not dealing to you.
Yeah, you're
See,
not passing the cards, the
yeah,
visual passing the cards, yeah.
yeah. I haven't figured that out. If you figure out, because I said that would be fun, even to play like euchre or spades or something like that. But
Right.
how would we do it? How could I make sure that if you got dealt a nine of diamonds, that how would you see that? Without us all
Yeah,
seeing each other's cards, I'm not sure.
you have to do like some kind of like online poker, or I'm sure there's online poker, online euchre, where 4 people log in to 4-person euchre, and then you just do this like a Zoom or
Yeah,
something, so you can
and
see
then
people.
you said like how you were saying how people haven't done Zooms and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and it was really funny because probably that first weekend, a friend of ours, they turned 40, and so they had like a Zoom birthday party.
yeah,
She
yeah.
had a bunch of her girlfriends on, and they were all kind of drinking, and they all were changing their backgrounds and stuff, right? And I'm like, I've been doing Zoom meetings for 2 years.
Mhm.
I didn't even know you could change your background. And you and the kids, by the way, earlier that day, they were like, "How do I change this? How do I change this?" I'm like, "How did you guys? This isn't my focus, guys. I'm worried about the meeting, not the background."
I don't feel bad. I didn't know about the background till maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's funny. So, I mean, you might be possibly one of the most, in tune people when it comes to this next question. Like, where do you think we're going when it comes to, let's just assume safety is no longer the concern.
Mhm,
I mean, you've set up a lot of people at home.
mhm.
Do you think offices are more a thing of the past than they've ever been? I clearly not everywhere, but as a general consensus.
I guess it depends on the individual. Of course, depends on everything, right? But safety. We go back to work, right? So how's that going to look? I have clients that still go into the office.
Hmm.
and they're considered essential, and they want to go in the office. They're old school. They want to go in the office, and that's fine. But they wear gloves, they masks, they spray everything down. There's two or three of them in the office. They're family. It's a family business, which is great. Or there's a couple of them, and that's their mojo. That's how they work. They work off of each other. They joke. They poke fun at each other. You can hear them, calling them. They're
Yeah.
razzing each other. That's their mojo. That's why they're successful because they're enjoying it. But like maybe like the individual, like myself, I might push more doing everything remotely, unless obviously you have to come in for something. And it's nice, like you talked about the benefits, like I can close this for half an hour and spend time with the kids. Like, my gosh, for 6 weeks now, I've had lunches and dinners with my family. I,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done that. I've never before this. I can't remember a full solid week that I've had lunch and dinner with my family. It is
Sure.
not crazy, just because we're so busy, right? And to your point too, last 10, 20 years we've been so busy. But I think obviously like the service industry, car repairs and painting and construction and deliveries and those things, those obviously are going to be out. But I think people are, if we go back like today, if we go back today, like right this minute, everything is good. We can go back. You're going to see like 90% people just flood back to their office. But if this goes longer, if this goes till the end of the year until there's either a quote unquote cure, vaccine, or a way to deal with it if you get sick, until there's a cure, and we're still in our basements, people are going to get used to this new behavior, and you're going to see not so many people go back to the office because they're
Yeah.
going to say, "Gosh, there's an expense, there's heating, cooling, there's gas, there's rent, travel. I enjoy being with my loved ones. I enjoy this extra time at lunchtime. I can walk around the block. Oh my gosh, it may be a good thing. It may be
Yeah.
a good thing."
I mean, I think if we didn't have virtual school,
Oh yeah.
it could be perfect for a lot of people. In fact, for the last, I don't know, 18 months, probably when my first friend bought a Peloton and we thought, you guys are crazy. You're spending this kind of money on a Peloton and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, well, guess what we bought over the weekend? Like, and part of the justification was, well, I'm not going to go back to the gym
Mhm.
even whenever it opens. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever day the gym opens, I don't care if it's next Monday or if it's not until January of 2021.
mhm.
I'm not going to be the first person in the gym, and neither is my wife.
Right.
That's just the way it's going to go. Even if
Mhm.
there's cures, vaccines, and everything else, I'm
Yeah,
still going to. I feel like it's there's part of it is the COVID-19. Part of it is like you're starting to become more conscious of what's out there. You know, um, it starts with a joke where you see the Lysol already had coronavirus listed on it.
right,
But
right,
then
yeah,
you learn coronavirus is like a term that means something, and then you learn what that means, and you're like, wait, so this already existed? Like
yeah,
that type of thing. So COVID-19, no. Coronavirus, yes. And you start thinking, well,
yeah,
dang, I really want to get into these certain scenarios, right? So I
right,
think if we didn't have the kids at home for school purposes,
yeah,
I feel there's a lot of people, like you said, I would much rather be able to close this up and then buzz out for my snack with my family. I'm right here versus in my office. My office is only 15 or 20 minutes from my house, you
yeah.
know?
And you're not. Gosh, we used to do lunches, almost every day. Like when we had tip and whatever, it could be 20, $25 if you go to a restaurant, maybe even $30. Say I'll,
Oh,
I'll buy
yeah.
you lunch today. They can get pretty expensive. It's like, man, my credit card bills are lower, lower, I should say, and expenses are a little bit lower, and yeah, but we're still, we're humans. We still want that interaction, so we're still going to want to hang out and have a beer with somebody, right? We're
Right.
hanging up at the, but we're still going to do that. We're humans. We're social. We're a social beast.
Yep.
But as far as work, people are going to be like, yeah, I I like this home thing, or
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. I do feel, I mean, I'm interested to see what happens with both the employee and the employer. Cause like you said, I mean, if I own or rent a 40,000 square foot facility
Hmm.
for, let's just say I'm Quicken Loans,
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, they have huge office spaces in multiple cities. And
Yeah.
if you could consolidate that and maybe have 150 people coming to offices, or consolidate that and have a handful of people that probably have to be in the building for various reasons,
Right.
but the other people kind of come and go depending on appointments or workload or whatever. I mean, you see some real estate companies were already going that route, to virtual only, or having like a building that really only houses 8, 10 agents at a time, even though they employ or staff 60 agents, because
Right.
they
Yeah.
know that only 8 or 10 agents probably need to be in at one moment to do work in a building other than their house or a
Or
Starbucks.
just rotate in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would guess, I mean, heck, like I say, if I had a 40,000 square foot space, unless I was the owner and
Mhm.
paying myself rent, I'd probably think about the ability to conduce or
You have to
consolidate,
think
I should
too.
say.
Right. You have to think too. Like if because that's what a lot of these companies were doing, like Quicken Loans and all these other bigger companies, Apple and Google and all these other companies, where they want you to work at the office for 12 hours. They got a gym, they have a daycare facility, they have catered food and all this expensive stuff, and now they're okay, go home, right? Get out of here. And it's a liability too. It's like, well, why don't you just work from home for 12 hours? We'll still pay you, just stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I mean, if I had a different style of job, I
Mhm.
feel like I probably wouldn't mind because, like I just said, I mean, I could go out to my kitchen and make
Mhm.
some food or have leftovers or whatever. I can then go to the basement and hit the treadmill, or in a couple months hit the Peloton, or
Yeah, yeah.
lift some weights. I have a heavy bag. I mean, I could do different stuff
Mhm.
all right here.
Mhm.
Now, I feel like I'd still like to be a part of a community.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
whether that's a gym or that's online virtual, things,
Mhm.
something, like you said, we're social bodies. So we're not going to suddenly all just stay in our homes. In fact, like we said earlier, I can't wait till I can get together with some folks more than
Right.
6 feet apart or less than 6 feet apart in a facility, and do something fun with people.
Right.
But to be able to do these things from home, now, anyone who's watching might
Mhm.
see your home.
Mhm.
You've got, I see 6 arcade games behind you, and
Oh
I've
yeah.
I've
Yep.
seen more than that, I think. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that obsession and how fun that's been.
Yeah. So arcade machines in my basement, so it's not a background, it's real. So I've been collecting arcade machines since I don't know, 2001, 2004 scenes, when the arcade scenes started to die. Then they had these things called arcade auctions. So me and a bunch of my buddies from work, we would get together and go to Michigan State Fairgrounds at arcade auctions there. The actual amusement parks, they have arcade auctions, and these things went anywhere from $50 to, I think the most I paid was 300 for any one of these arcade machines. Now they're worth a lot more,
Yep.
and I love to tinker with them. They're all working. I love the electronics on them, as you can tell with computers and stuff. And my wife said I could have four, and it just kind of grew to 15. So and now I'm telling myself, okay, I have no more room. The kids need to play here. They have a play area, and it's just something. I grew up. Went to the arcades. It got me interested in electronics. Got me interested in programming and computers. And again, social. Just me and the buddies going to. We used to go to Canton Super Bowl bowling alley and just play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And then I could go way back. I remember, Kmart in Plymouth had an arcade in there. Believe it or not, Kmart's no longer there anymore, but they had an arcade there. Myers had a Kmart. I could tell you specifically where each machine was,
Yeah.
and where Jungle Hunt was and where Time Pilot was, and boom, boom, boom. It's just so many good memories. And fortunately, a good buddy of mine said, "Hey, there's an arcade auction here in Michigan. Let's go and take a look." And we started collecting them. So my other buddies, they got like three or four each, and we go to each other's house. We do like these little LAN parties every few months, and we come down. I got a wet bar. They have wet bars themselves, and we just kind of hang out and nerd out.
Yeah.
it, it's funny. It's mostly social now. Used to be, the wives would joke and say, "Gosh, it's so quiet because we got our headsets on. We're playing the game.
Right.
We're playing like Warcraft or whatever it is. And now we just like, dude, I haven't seen you in a year. We have kids. Let's talk.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I have a game back here. Yeah, I'll play it later.
So are all your games are they the actual game, or do you have any where you have like kind of the box and then underneath you have 350 games hooked up into the console?
Well, 12 of them are originals. 12 of them are originals, and three of them are the company called Arcade One Up, and they make like a multicade. So
Yeah.
there's one back there. It's a Star Wars game that's got the three different Star Wars games in it. And if you're to buy an original Star Wars game, it's like $2,000. So,
Sure.
but yeah, it's like it's a smaller scale. But three of them are one of those what you call multicades, and then the other 12 are the originals.
That's cool. No, I mean, obviously, it's something that started making a big comeback in the last couple of years too. All
Yeah,
these
yeah.
arcade places, and it's funny. I was out in California last year for a real estate conference,
Mhm.
and I was with somebody, and so we were like, "Well, what should we go do?" And we found a bar that said that they had arcade games or whatever. So I was like, "Okay, cool, let's go do that." And we came in there, and they had two arcade games. It was they definitely had Mortal Kombat, but I don't remember the other one right now. And then they had basically an old school N64, GameCube, and then they had a couple of these modded, boxes. So
Yeah,
like you had the Xbox with 100 or 200 games. You could play a TurboGrafx 16 or something like that.
nice,
And I
nice.
was like, this is kind of cool, but kind of not, because like
Right,
this isn't what I thought I was coming into, you
right.
know.
It's not the
So
original. Yeah.
but then you see like the Nintendo Classic when it came back
Oh,
out,
yeah,
you
yeah.
couldn't find them, and now they're not existent anymore. They're $100 at least,
Yeah.
on sites
Mhm.
for games that we thought would never be cool again because they were 8 bits and graphics
Yep.
were terrible and stuff, and so it's amazing to see that comeback.
Yeah, there's another wave where like us that grew up with those, the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and we remember, friends' basements getting Domino's or Little Caesars pizza and eating Skittles and Mountain Dew and just having a good time. And all of a sudden, like, 20, 30 years later, Nintendo Classic comes out and it's like, oh, Mario Brothers, Mega Man, whatever games are on there. It's like, I remember that. And you want to show your kids, you play it, and you're just like, wow, this is so amazing. So,
Yeah, my wife and I will sometimes just try to bust out like Mario 3 or something like that,
mhm,
and it's funny because I was okay at games, but I was not like a gamer. And in
mhm.
fact, as time went on, I just really would buy a couple of the sports games.
Yeah.
And so, even talking to a friend, he's like, you got to do this and that, and level one takes it to this. And I'm like, dude, I don't remember even how to get that thing, let alone what it does if I do get it. So I'm really not but we just have fun on them. So,
Did
I
you get
saw
like
those.
the Genesis, like the Maddens or anything? Did you get into Genesis
I
sports
didn't,
games?
not now. So I
Mhm.
still have my Sega Genesis,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I have my original Nintendo. And so we
Right.
have a place here in South Lyon where I live, and it's I can't think of the name of it because I would totally call them out, shout them out right now.
Yeah.
But they're right in town, and they have the old games and stuff, and then they can work on them. So I brought in the Genesis and said I need like the adapter to turn it on a new TV.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, "Cool." He goes, "Do you mind if I, take a look at it?" And he goes, "Let me clean this up, whatever." I think he did it for like $3 or $5 or something
Oh, wow,
ridiculously
nice.
cheap. And I walked out of the place with a couple of games cleaned up, whatever, for $30.
Wow,
And
wow.
every now and then the boys will say like, "Let's get this out,"
Cool.
and yeah, and then for Christmas he got the Switch, and for like $4 you can subscribe online for like the NES and SNES classics.
Yes,
And
yes.
so we just do that now. It's easier.
That
So
is so cool. Yeah, you can take it with you or play on the screen. And that's what I like about those older games is because you just put in the cartridge, you turn it on, boom, you're done. There's no loading screen, there's no story, there's no like, okay, it's 15 minutes just to hit the attack button. You
right.
just yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing is like there's a point to it, right? Like they're playing these games, and I go, like, well, where do you get to the boss? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how do you get to the next level? Stuff like that. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Right, right.
And
I got a side quest I got to do.
yeah, I was just like, so I don't understand them, and so I don't mean to sound old because I'm not quite 40 yet, but I feel old sometimes when I'm talking to them about video games.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's pretty interesting. We got off on a tangent, obviously, a side note there with your background, but
No, that's fine. So
uh,
how do you keep your kids entertained? I know you can only do so much school, right?
yeah,
It's not like they're doing, normal 8 hours and recess and snack time and nap time.
yeah.
How do you keep them entertained in between? What are you guys doing?
So our routine, if you will, is they're both a little bit early risers. So by 7:30 they're allowed to pull out like electronics, whatever they Xbox or iPad or whatever,
Mhm,
and then by 9 o'clock we're shut down
mhm,
and we're starting school. And
mhm,
then they normally can finish that probably within an hour or two, depending
mhm.
on what they've got. But we do like educational till say lunchtime.
Yeah.
So if they finish school, maybe we bust out the Prodigy. It's like a online math game, or I'll say read some of your books, or something like that.
Okay.
Lunch comes, and then depending on the weather, right? So like a day where it's nice out after lunch, I might say like get outside and do something, or
Yeah.
I'll find something for you, right?
Yeah.
But if it's not, then they can watch a movie or something like that. Um, and then probably by 1:30, 2 o'clock, they're really starting to itch for like entertainment or something.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's where I might say, like, do you guys want to play a game? Or again, if it's nice out, let's take the dog for a walk, or
Yeah.
let's we got a basketball hoop, let's shoot some hoops, or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. And then they'll normally get another like video game break somewhere in the later part of the afternoon until mom comes home.
Mhm,
And then we're fortunate to we have dinner,
mhm,
and after dinner we'll do something as a family, or something like that.
mhm,
We've gotten into puzzling, again. So my oldest son, who's 10, and my wife have always enjoyed puzzles, and my youngest son and myself have never been big puzzlers. So I'm like, okay, well then let's do this, right? Like
yeah.
we need
Yeah.
to. It's good for your brain. So we do that a lot to stay busy. We've definitely ordered a few more books, to all for everybody to kind of like have some more reading time, and some games. I mean, again, sometimes it's easy, like let's play some Uno, or in fact, the kids know how to play like 5 card draw, something
Mhm.
like that.
Yep.
And then other times we bust out Monopoly,
Mhm.
Yahtzee, Life, those types of games. So you try to keep it sometimes mindless, and then sometimes, kind of still educational, strategy, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Monopoly teaches kids patience.
Yes.
And
And
mom and dad.
fortunately, I won the first game that we played because, like, as a realtor, if I would have not beaten everybody in how to play the Monopoly game, I would have been very disappointed. So I haven't won them all, but I did win the first one. Thank God.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So I mean, but what about you? You said 10 and 5. So mine are 10 and 7. So they're a little closer in age that they
Yep.
can make do with Nerf gun battles or hide and seek. Because they're close enough that they're making do most of the time. 10 and 5, I feel like maybe more of a challenge.
Yeah, the first week, I'd probably say first couple weeks was kind of difficult because there is that age gap there, but they do go to the same school. They ride the bus. So this was the first year where they rode the bus together, and she's being big sister. She's been really good, showing her the bus and the ropes and those things. But they get on each other's nerves because there's such that age gap there. The first 2 weeks was just fighting, fighting. It's like, oh, so somehow they just, I mean, we didn't say, hey, you're the sister, you got to be nice. They just kind of figured it out as humans, because remember, they're little people, they're little humans. So they figured it out for themselves because I'm working obviously, and my wife is trying to get the house going, and the dinners and all that fun stuff. Bless her heart, doing all that stuff and helping with the school. And they just kind of figured out where they do the hide and seek, the forts, the tickle fights. The 10-year-old set up a Roblox account for the 5-year-old. I'm like, how did you? Because I guess like they're like sharing, like the 10-year-old was mad because when she goes on Roblox on her tablet uses her account. and it was really upsetting her. And the 5-year-old wanted to play Roblox, and so she's like, "I'll just create you an account." Created her account. I'm like, "How did you do that?" I just created her account. I'm like, with no I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
So they're helping each other out. They have similar interests, like similar YouTube channels they watch. Um, they got some goofy stuff, and I force them onto some educational fun things too. But they, after 2 weeks, I think they figured it out. They haven't really fought as much.
Yeah.
So I think they're just kind of like, this is the way it is, and they figured it out. So great.
We def-
I mean, it's amazing. It's
we
amazing.
definitely actually the first probably 3 to 5 days,
Mm,
those were probably the best days for us because
mm.
I think they were just like, okay, we get it, and it's funny, like my 7 year old, as much as like he challenges certain rules and stuff like that, he also takes certain things like very serious. Like he's lactose intolerant.
Oh
So
yeah,
if
yeah,
he came over your house to play your video games there behind you and
yeah.
you brought a snack, he would say, "Is there milk in this?" Like
Oh, okay.
not because we've really even pushed it. Like he just knows. Like so certain things like that. And this coronavirus has been the same way. Like
Hmm.
he'd see my other son, out there on his bike with a buddy, and he'd be like, "You guys are too close," like that type of stuff.
Yeah, distance, distance.
Yeah. So they kind of took this really serious right away.
Wow,
And
that's very mature. That's great.
it was. I mean, we were like, "Hey, we haven't even talked to them about the any dangers or
Yeah.
what there is or isn't to be scared of or whatever." And they were going outside. They were playing Foursquare, playing around the world, and
Yeah.
horse, and just kicking a soccer ball and just staying entertained. And then it was kind of like you're cheating, like the usual public stuff, right? But overall, they do pretty good. And, it's been fun to see some of the creativity. My oldest son watched and read the Hunger Games. He read the books and then he watched the 4 movies. And then the next thing you know, he comes to me and he's like, "Do we have a pocket knife?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And I knew I had like a kind of junky one from like Lowe's from 15 years ago.
Right,
He's
right.
out
All
there like
rusted.
shaving bark off of a tree, like making a spear, right?
Oh, geez. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
That's the type of stuff that like kids do or are supposed to do that they
Like
haven't thought
summertime.
about doing because they have an iPad in their hand, you
I
know.
know. I know. Yeah. Yep.
So that type of stuff's been pretty cool, and
Mhm.
overall they do pretty good. But there's times where, like actually earlier today, I said, "Well, do you want to help mom on this puzzle?" And he's like, "No," and I go, "Okay, so what do you want to do?
Mhm.
Because you just got off the Xbox
Yep.
and your brother's doing this and I'm gonna do this. What's your plan?" "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "Okay, well, I bought this puzzle actually for you and your brother. You don't have to do it. I'm just I'm continuing to ask you, what do you want to do?"
Right.
Well, that puzzle got finished right before we jumped on this call.
Oh,
So,
nice.
you
That's
know
awesome.
stuff
That's
like
so
that.
cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So overall, pretty good. um I missed this opportunity to ask you when you started off, like you've been in business since 98.
Mhm.
So you got in business, you didn't advertise on the internet, that's for sure, because nobody knew what the heck the internet was, just you. And
Yep, yep.
and you and I have known each other for, probably, geez, 8 years or so.
Gosh,
Uh,
yeah. But
yeah, I mean, you don't think about it that way, but we
that's
probably met
I mean,
about,
that's crazy. That's great. That's good. That's awesome.
I guess, 6 or 7 years, probably 2013 or 14, we met each other.
Sure, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're friends on Facebook, so we see a little bit of each other's stuff. But I've
Mhm,
never seen a business page of yours. I've never
mhm,
seen a business Instagram, right? And so like
mhm,
most of the people that I talk to through this and then in business, they probably have grown through social media and stuff like that.
mhm.
How did you and how do you kind of grow your business today? How does your word get out there?
Yeah, so it's fortunate because we've been doing this for so long, it just kind of morphed into what it is today. Like, 22 years ago, obviously was a different world. We didn't do any advertising. Our rule was, I don't wanna have a Walmart customer. I don't want to stick my business card on Potbelly's pegboard and just get some
Yeah.
random person that's going to want to finagle the price down. So it just, we started kind of the business kind of as a hobby and just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew, just word of mouth. We got a couple businesses that really carried us through, and those businesses referred us to other businesses, which We like to this day we have our very first customer, our very first business, and they're still growing strong. You know, one business he's morphed into different businesses. He's referred me out to I, I'm going to say 20, but it's probably more than that. 20 different businesses or home users, and just he's a people. He knows everybody. He just refers me out. Just he's such a great guy, and just getting to know somebody. You know, you do a good job, they'll refer you out. We do have a Facebook fan page and we have a website, but we don't do a lot with it because it's all word of mouth. It's all word of mouth, and which is phenomenal. And like I said, we've been doing it for 22 years, so it just kind of comes natural. Now, starting out, that'd be a different story, right?
Sure.
But that's where you get into like your BNIs and local networking groups and your chamber of commerce. You could get your face out there. Those things are huge. Those are great things to do, and I still continue to do that. So just a combination of just the word of mouth and the continuing the networking and just talking with people online and talking with you and in general and those things and speak positive, do a good job. It'll just morph. It'll just morph into something positive. Like you can remember, like you go to a drive-through or a restaurant that's bad or you get a service that's bad. You remember that, and to tell 100 people, don't go to this person. And also on the other token, if someone cuts your lawn and does a phenomenal job, you're going to tell 100 people, oh my gosh, my lawn is perfect. He comes by, he says hi, he drops off a bottle of wine at Christmas time. You remember that. So that's what you do. That's how you grow it. That's how you run a business. So
Yeah.
you have to not only do you have to be good at your arts, so like the repair computer business, that's my art. That's what I do with my hands. I repair computers. My staff, my business partner, you know, uh, we have workers that work with us. But you also have to be a business owner and have to have a business mind. If you just go in and like, I'm a great plumber and I'm the best plumber in the world, that's awesome. But you have to take a business section and know the business world to grow. Otherwise, if you just have your art, whether it's plumbing or real estate or computer repair, and you do it, you're only gonna make 50 grand a year.
Hmm.
And if you're happy with that, that's great. But if you want to do more and grow and be bigger, then you have to take yourself out of that art and do the business, or hire someone to do that. There's so many things that people can do, like hire a coach or have a spouse do it, or a trusted business partner that does those things. But there's so many in my mind is just exploding right now. There's 100 things you could do, but in a nutshell, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Obviously, I work with a lot of different contractors, or I might refer them out, or I meet them, or somehow or another. So that's going to be the group that I'm going to attack and praise here in this conversation. But that's a great group of people that, as you say, they need a business mindset too, because there are some guys that do phenomenal things
Mhm.
with construction, landscaping,
Yes.
all those things that people ask for, a plumber, an electrician, a welder or pipe fitter or something along those lines. These people are asked about all the time, and yet they're really hard to find. And
Mhm.
a lot of it has to do with that business aspect, because they know plumbing, or they know electrical, or they know they can landscape design with a piece of paper and a ruler.
They have
They
a
don't need a
great
CAD
heart.
program.
You-
But they also don't know how to follow up or respond. They might not know a good way if I question something without, almost yelling at me or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
Things like that. And then, like you said, I mean, coaching. I've done part of real estate coaching groups various times. Um, if you talk to or read any autobiography, you know, these guys, I mean, Howard Schultz, who started
Yeah.
Starbucks,
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll talk about coaches that mentored him and helped him. Michael Jordan, in his prime, had at least six outside coaches, not including Phil Jackson and staff, that kept him sharp. And so, love him or hate him, he
Yeah.
won six championships.
Yeah.
and he's arguably one of the best, if not the best player to ever play that game. And it comes down to these other folks, and then you have mentors and you have also, but the coaching, there's a coach out there probably for just about everything, business coach or sales coach or whatever. And I think if you're really starting trying to get into a business or even growing your business,
Mhm.
you always want to consider having somebody like that, as part of your expense category, because it's going to help the other categories for sure.
Yeah, because where small businesses fail a lot is like you have your art, you have your craft. Like well, let's pick on the electrician. He does a great job. He comes in clean, doesn't electrocute yourself, doesn't burn the house down, and you need that person to do that craft, that art, right? So he's doing that 40 hours a week, but he doesn't have time or the mentality to go home at 5 o'clock and do 40 hours of business.
Hmm.
He's exhausted. He's done for the day. And that's where people don't realize it's like, well, you need help. You got to hire somebody. You got to outsource. Well, I know the numbers. I don't trust anybody with QuickBooks, and only I can write the checks. You got to give that up. You got to give that up because you're gonna be stuck at making 40 grand a year, and that doesn't include paying for benefits and health and medical. You're screwing yourself. You got to give some of that stuff up. And people, we realize that from day one. It's like we can't do it all. Like in IT, we can't do websites, we can't do email security, we can't do it all. So we subcontract it out, we hire somebody out. I know numbers, I'm a numbers guy, I know, how to do accounting, but I hire a CPA to do my accounting for me.
Right.
That, best, like she probably spends, I don't know, 50 hours a year doing the taxes and the quarterlies and stuff like that. That's 50 hours of headache that just do not want to deal with. You
Yep.
gotta give that up. You know, and that's where people fall.
Yeah. And then of course there's the other group that they've outsourced everything
Hmm.
because they're a business owner, and
Yeah,
so uh, and I've been on both sides of that,
yeah,
as a business owner and just as an employee, seeing it from places where, yeah, they want to specialize in everything, or, well, I'm not really good at this, so I outsource it, and I'm
yeah,
not good at this, so I outsource it. And it's like, well, at some point as a business owner, you at least need to know how you got to your numbers. Let the accountant and the bookkeeper put the numbers in place,
hmm,
and things like that. But you should at least know how to get there, or
hmm,
how your bottom line shows up, or how to get a different bottom line. And those people can help you. But like you said, I mean, if I do accounting for myself, but even when I had one coworker that we were like a team, it suddenly became very difficult to do all the accounting, because I had that person's expenses and my expenses, and then we had combined profits, and we had to split those, and
you
you can
just
see,
doubled your headache. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it literally became a thing where it was like, well, I'm doing this, so you do this, and instead, I'm not doing real estate, and that's what I do. You
and
know,
that's your craft, that's your art. You know.
Yeah. So, I don't know that we meant to get into like coaching call or whatever you want to
No, that's all
call it.
right.
By all means, anybody who's listening at this, venture of the conversation, hopefully is picking up like something on that, because I think it's so crucial that you know what you're good at and you exceed there. And then, yes, as a business owner, you have a few things that you have to do as a business owner, but you find people that do the stuff that needs to be done, the hard work, because, like my industry, we can make more money than doctors or lawyers or whatever, but I can
Sure.
guarantee you can't make even as much as minimum wage if you're doing everything that needs to be done on a day-to-day
Yeah,
basis.
you're making $3 an hour, working 80 hours a week. You're killing yourself.
Right.
You have to know what you're good at, but you also have to know what you're not good at, and then fill that gap. Hire someone and outsource it. So you can't work 80 hours a week. You'll kill yourself. And then the craft and the art that you do just falls. It just and then you lose your
Yeah.
business. Yeah,
Or you burn out,
you
right? I
burn.
mean, there's a lot of people that are successful, but they've burned out in 2 years or 3 years.
Uh,
It's crazy, and it's obviously young people, they burn out, I mean, you should be burned out like after 30 or 40 years,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah. Be
that
like,
was
I'm retiring. I'm done. Yeah.
right. That's the concept of retirement. It's kind of like a burnout type of thing, but you can't retire unless you're maybe like Mark Zuckerberg and decide you don't want to be a part of Facebook anymore. You
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah.
then you can retire. But other than that, you don't get
Yeah.
to retire at 25 or 30 or something.
Right. Right.
Um, um, before I let you go, I always like to just kind of, is there anything that maybe we glossed over? Anything that's on your mind that need to get out there? Words of wisdom? Anything more?
No, it's just good just talking with you, just two guys talking and having some brewskis. So I appreciate that. It gives me an opportunity to drink. Usually I don't drink as much. I'm actually working a little bit more, so I got to keep the mind going. But yeah, with this crazy, I call it crazy Corona. So everyone's handling it differently. I'm handling it. I'm a workaholic by nature, so I'm handling it by keeping busy, and that doesn't work for everybody. People, they want to binge watch Netflix. They want to spend time with their family. They want to do an art, learn a language, or do nothing. Each person handles this, whatever this is, differently, and that is okay. There is no right way. There's no wrong way. It is how you, as an individual, deals with it, and that's okay. If this goes on for months and months longer, and all you did was watch Netflix, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel guilty. You are doing what's best for you. Then when you get at the end of this, which is going to be, I think, sooner than later, you're gonna be like, okay, well, you know what? That was a silly few months, and life is good, and you continue going on. So whatever you're doing today to deal with what's going on today, you're doing the right
Cool. I don't disagree. You see these posts like you're not okay and that's okay, or
thing. Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it's true. It's like it, it's different. Today is different than it was 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago,
And tomorrow's
and
gonna be different.
nobody is prepared for how to deal with these things. You're seeing it, I think, with some of the conversations and especially social media conversations. They've really gotten intense, in
Mhm.
all kinds of ways.
Yep.
Political. Suddenly, everybody's an epidemiologist and a viral doctor and whatever.
Right. Before they were an impeachment expert, and before that they
Exactly.
were, it's just, yeah, and I'm guilty. I get caught in that too, and I pull back. I'm like, all right, this is silly, and let's have a group hug. At the end of the day, we're all friends here. That's what it matters.
I
So
think too. I'm a big Joe Rogan podcast fan.
yeah, me too. I've been. Oh my god, I watched one on Tom Green yesterday, and I'm like, oh, Tom Green, no, he's funny, but dude, he's a human being. I'm okay. Go ahead, but wait,
No,
I didn't finish it, but it was good. But go ahead. Yes.
no, no, no. And like he just, I feel like he just basically embraces this concept of like, um, kind of like you just said, like what you're doing to get by is probably okay.
Mhm.
And, just really seems to understand more about humanity and the fact that, like, if you and I disagree,
Mhm.
first of all, we probably are closer to an agreement than we think.
Mhm.
We just have to talk about it, but
Like
we
like
don't,
this.
right. And a lot of people don't like to talk all of a sudden.
Mhm.
And especially when it comes to politics,
Mhm.
it's like you're left, I'm right. Well, maybe, but how close to the center are we? Because I bet you we're
Yes.
closer, or we're closer to each other. I've
Yes.
had this
Yes.
conversation with people. They
Mhm.
go, "Oh, I thought you were blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." They're like, "Well, but you like this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "Well, that doesn't make sense." I'm like, it doesn't make sense because you put me into this category of whatever you think I am. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so, and so I think, I certainly, and I, not the, these aren't conversations when you go like, you're right, I'm wrong.
Mhm.
That's an argument. If we would have more conversation, number one, people would learn. And number two, yes, there's going to be some people that you just really can't have a conversation with, but you would learn that too, right? Like, I can't find out if you're an idiot unless I let you talk,
Right.
you know? So
Mhm.
before I call you idiot, I should at least we should at least have some engaging conversation about topics to find out. if I really think you are that. And then after the end, if we've had a lot of conversation, we've talked about various topics and we just don't see eye to eye, that's cool. You
I
know?
think you respect the person as a human being, and that's really like this whole corona craziness going on. For the most part, I'm very positive, optimistic about it. But the only thing that really scares me is like that social aspect. People posting on Facebook, their only goal on Facebook is to one up one another.
Yeah.
Like, I posted a meme and it's a picture of A, B, and C, and I proved you wrong, and they walk away like they drop the mic, and it's like, no, you didn't drop no mic, you just made yourself look like an idiot. And people don't want to have a conversation. They just want to one up each other. Then they get nasty, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm deleting this post. This is not. People don't want to have a conversation, and people need to. We do this too long that real actual friends that have been friends for a long time are no longer friends anymore, which is terrible because you destroyed decades of relationships and friendships and weddings and birthdays and all sorts of things. I've seen them most every day. I unfriended this person. It's like, why are you telling me? I don't care. But so that's why we all hope we get back sooner than later so we can actually talk like human beings. But that's
Yeah.
really the only thing. I don't care about the politics, and the bug's going to go away. We're going to find a cure. I'm not worried about that stuff. It's just the human interaction on social media is being destroyed, and that's really my biggest fear out of all this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it takes a lot. I mean, I had somebody, she kind of attacked me in a post,
Yeah.
and I had something to say once, and then she came back with even more, and I thought, one of two things. Well, easily one of two things.
uh
She's having a bad day and I'm not, and so she's going off. And when we talk and see each other, we can see that, right? I can see your demeanor is bad, and I know not to pick on you anymore.
Right. Right.
Or she's got a different life experience on this than I have, and this is how she feels. There's no
Yeah.
reason for me to keep fighting with her about it
Hmm.
because she feels this way about this topic and I don't. So, like, let's see how she feels on some other topics before I start defriending her or, blocking her.
Blocking. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know and people should remember too, like, Facebook's got that nice unfollow for 30 days. So if like someone's kind of just getting on your nerves, but like I've done that to a few people, even people that I'm really good friends with, and they're posting how I feel but they don't stop posting how I feel.
Sure.
Like, I'm
Sure.
seeing
Yeah.
it too much. I'll see you in 30 days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. We're good. Yeah. We're going on a break.
yeah, it doesn't have to be the opposite of how you feel, right? So
Right. Right. Right.
anyway, so Jason, I appreciate you jumping on. I think the
Thank
conversation
you.
was great. We talked a lot about, everything, I think. And I think it's helpful for people to realize like how many others kind of go through it and maybe what they're doing to go through their business, their family, whatever. And that was my reasoning for starting this. And of course, as we eventually one day exit COVID-19, we'll
Mhm.
have different topics to talk about and different,
Yeah.
what's going on today in your life and your business. But, I hope to continue and have, people back and that type of stuff. And hopefully you had a good time.
Oh, I had a great time. I feel honored. Thank you so much. Where are you sharing these? Are you posting them somewhere?
Yeah, so I
Like,
just so I'll tell you what. Let me hit stop record here in a second, and then I'll answer that question just because it won't make sense to somebody listening
sounds
in
great.
a week or two.
All right,
So,
be safe, everybody.
all right, thanks.